Good morning, Malacañang Press Corps. Welcome sa regular press briefing ni Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Rocky. Good morning. For today, our resource speaker is not new to us. He's been here how many times, sir? 20? No, this is my second time. This is your second time, all right. He is Exec Ricardo Jalad, and he is the administrator of the Office of Civil Defense and the Executive Director of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. He will give us an update on the current risk reduction situation in Marawi. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Malacañang Press Corps, let us welcome Secretary Ricardo Jalad.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Last March 23, when we monitored the launch of rebellious act of the ISIS-inspired Maoti group in Marawi City, and we also monitored the influx of internally displaced people from Marawi City to outlying areas like Iligan City and some municipalities in Lanao del Norte and Lanao del Sur. In my capacity as the administrator of Office of Civil Defense, I immediately directed the activation of a regional command and coordinating center in Iligan City in order to coordinate the efforts of two regional offices of Office of Civil Defense, and these are OCD ARM and OCD Region 10. And that RCCC now transformed into an emergency operation center of the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council, because we have activated the response cluster of NDRRMC being led by the SWD to focus for now on the needs of internally displaced people. And as of yesterday, we have on record 66,738 families composed of 324,406 individuals displaced from Marawi City and Marantao, municipality of Marantao in Lanao del Sur. Of this number of displaced people, only about 5% are checked-in or staying inside evacuation centers, numbering about 79 evacuation centers spread out in Lanao del Norte, Lanao del Sur. We also have one in Cagayan de Oro City. Only about 5% are currently staying in the evacuation centers. The rest, the 95% are staying in the relatives, in the houses of the relatives and friends, and we call them home-based IDPs. And at the responding to the needs of the IDPs, are the DSWD as lead in the management of evacuation centers, as well as in providing food and non-food items. The Department of Health as the lead in providing for water, health, and sanitation. So these two agencies are leading in the provision of assistance to our IDPs, with OCD as the overall coordinator and implementing arm of the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council. And as of yesterday also, on our record is it's already about 84 million pesos worth of assistance provided by various agencies, including OCD. So that's the update. We're still focusing on responding to the needs of our IDPs in areas outside of Marawi and Marantao.
MPC questions? Tina? Sir, microphone, please, Tina.
Sir, Tina po from GMA. Sir, meron po ba kayong bilang ng mga nasa ospital naman, ng mga civilian?
Oh, I asked that from DOH yesterday. I left my note, but I remember it's about 15 inpatient right now. 15.
Sir, where are they?
In hospitals in Iligan City and clinics in other municipalities.
Sir, clarify ko lang, that's 15?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I might be wrong because I don't have with me my notes.
Opo, and they, ano po, do you also have information on why they were hospitalized? Kunyari, shrapnel.
Due to sickness, nothing due to injuries.
Thank you, sir.
Question? Maricel Halili of TV5.
Sir, just to follow up on Tina's question, you said sickness. They're suffering from what kind of
Yep,
diseases, sir?
Some diarrhea. And DOH has activated also its surveillance system to monitor occurrence of epidemics, and so far there's none.
But at least yung mga cases po ng diarrhea, did they acquire it from the evacuation centers?
I don't have that information.
Sir, I understand nagkaroon ng difficulties before na makipag-coordinate doon sa mga home-based evacuees. Ano na po yung update na kakuha na ba tayo ng communication with them?
Ongoing yung validation. Mahirap talaga i-validate ito dahil napakarami yung napakalawak yung lugar, but there is an ongoing process being conducted by DSWD.
Questions, MPC? Ace Romero, Philippine Star.
Yusek, do we already have estimate on damage of property?
Right now, we are still focusing on the response. We will do that as soon as Marawi is cleared. We will deploy rapid damage and needs assessment teams.
Kahit wala pang ballpark figure
Wala
or
pa,
initial.
wala pa.
Thank you.
Pia Reñada, birthday girl.
Sir, would you know if the President has any plans to visit the evacuation centers?
I don't have idea about that.
Sir, is there any, since we don't know when these IDPs will be able to go to their homes, is there an, needs like the government, does the government have any call out to the public to help provide some goods or basic necessities for the families?
Ongoing yung distribution ng relief items, yung basic needs doon sa evacuation center, as well as for the needs of home-based IDPs. And we are also looking at if the number of IDPs will really swell at setting up 10 cities. So the National Incident Management Team deployed in the area is now looking at that possibility.
Sir, you said that the number of IDPs might swell. What makes you say this? How many more po ba are you expecting? How many more are trapped in the city?
We are only, I don't have the number on the number of people trapped within Marawi City, but we are only monitoring the increasing number of IDPs. And we hopefully this will flatten.
Okay.
Sir, just one last. Sir, how many are adding every day?
Let me check on my record. Parang wala yata dito. But the increase is not during the last few days, hindi na ganon karami. But still we monitor the increase. Maybe it's because of because we are able to validate now the people who are home based. That's one thing. That's one thing that we recognize because of the validation that we are conducting.
Okay, questions, MPC? Ace Romero, Philippine Star.
Yusek, may we have a follow-up on the rehab plan for Marawi?
As I've said, we are still in the response phase, although there is now a pending issuance of EO on the rehab. We are still waiting for the final issuance of that. But still, the Office of Civil Defense as overall coordinator will be involved in the crafting of the rehab plan. Initially through the conduct of post-conflict needs assessment. So we still cannot conduct that activity because we have to clear Marawi City.
Where do you know where we will get the 10 billion for the Bangon Marawi program?
We have the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Fund. We still have some balances on that. That's one thing that I can see. But as to the aside from what we have, it's beyond me to determine where we will get that.
Okay, MPC? No more questions? Okay, thank you, Executive Director Ricardo Jalad of NDRRMC, Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella.
As of 6 p.m., 14 June 2017, some key developments. One is engagements and dialogue with the key sectors and local leaders of Marawi is ongoing in preparation for the rebuilding and the rehab phase. The rehab and the rebuilding of the rehab is contingent upon the clearing operations if the city is actually cleared. So operations continue to be positive. Out of 96 barangays, 4 remain as problematic areas, and where focused military operations in urban terrain is currently ongoing. Also, troops continue to gain important foothold in the problematic barangays, and enemy resistance continues to dwindle, and enemy-held areas continue to get smaller as troops advance. Compounding development remain to be the use of civilians as human shields and mosques as staging areas and safe havens. As of 7 p.m., 13 June 2017, a total of 60,055,000 fund augmentation must have been provided by the DSWD Central Office to field offices. This does not include the rest of the other agencies supporting. Further, a total of 70,700,994 was provided by DSWD to its response centers and field offices responding to the conflict in Marawi. We're open to a few questions.
Okay, on Marawi City?
Oh, before that. All right. We have good news. Okay. Medical students in SUCs are also set to get free tuition. The Commission on Higher Education has announced that the Doctor of Medicine students in 8 state universities and colleges, SUCs, can now avail of full tuition subsidy through the cash grants to medical students enrolled in state universities and colleges. The 8 SUCs which will grant free tuition are University of Northern Philippines, Mariano Marcos State University, Cagayan State University, Bicol University, West Visayas State University, University of the Philippines Leyte, Mindanao State University, and University of the Philippines Manila. The financial assistance is intended for new and continuing Filipino medical students who will be enrolling in the academic year 2017-2018. Also, foreign direct investments increased by 30.6% in March 2017, hitting $1.6 billion in the first quarter of 2017. The sustained foreign direct investment inflows reflect investors' confidence in the country's economy on account of the continued growth prospects and strong macroeconomic fundamentals. Equity capital infusions during the period were channeled mainly to real estate, wholesale and retail trade, manufacturing, financial and insurance, and information and communication activities. Regarding the Grenfell Tower fire in London, the Department of Foreign Affairs, through the Philippine Embassy in London, has confirmed that some Filipinos are among those injured by the fire at Grenfell Tower. The embassy is closely monitoring the situation and is ready to provide assistance to all Filipino fire victims. We condole with those who have lost families and friends in the Grenfell fire, and we take special note of the special needs of Filipinos who also were affected by the conflagration. Questions?
Okay, questions? MPC? About Marawi? London. Sir, tanongin ko lang itong From Rose Novenario, bakit po hindi paglabag sa Anti-Terror Law o Human Security Act ang isinampa laban sa mga taong sangkot sa terorismo sa Marawi City o sa iba pang lugar sa bansa gaya ni Superintendent Noblesa at iba pa?
So yung tanong po whether, how come it's not, how come?
Bakit daw po hindi Anti-Terror Law o Human Security Act?
First and foremost, I think
Maglaban.
it's under ongoing talks, so we cannot really confirm that. However, according to the EO and the supporting papers, it said that it was really basically a state rebellion. So that it was not just terrorism, but they were trying to actually create a state within a state. So the argument is such.
Okay, thank you. Question, MPC? Pia Ranyada?
Sir, how is the president? Is he sick?
The president is well. The president just needs, after all, you have to consider that he has been on the road for at least 23 days regarding fulfilling his martial law supervision. So, it has been really brutal. So we have to allow him this kind of rest.
When will his next public appearance be or activity?
Well, he's taking some time off, so I cannot really give you the definite date, but he's just taking some time off to rejuvenate.
Sir, is it safe to say this entire week he will be resting out of the public eye?
Let's just put it this way, that he's resting for some time. Thank you. Yes.
Tina Panganiban Perez?
Sir, as a follow-up to that, is the president in Malacañang? Because there was a post on social media yesterday that someone saw the president in Davao yesterday.
He may have traveled already to Davao. He's still here. Or according to the report, he's still here.
He's still here, sir. Sir, any plans on going to Davao or Mindanao in the next few
Me
days?
or
No, the president. The president, sir.
I thought you'd be concerned about my socials.
Well, I am too, but sir, since this is a follow-up question to Pia's question about the president.
I'm sure he usually splits his time between North and South. So I'm sure there's going to be some chance of him being there.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Philip Tobesa, Inquirer.
Hi, sir. Good morning. How is the president spending his downtime here in the palace?
Since it's private time, so I'm sure he's spending time mainly resting.
Is this the longest time that he's been out of the public eye?
I'm not entirely sure about that, but usually he doesn't just, he has his own schedules.
Has he seen a doctor, sir, since Monday?
I'm not privy to those matters, but I'm sure he's checked with his own experts.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Sir, reaction lang, there are several lawmakers who are calling for regular updates on the president's health. Do you think that this is something which is necessary, sir?
Well, it's usually given, for example, like this, in press briefings, we usually give you that. So, okay, thank you. Next.
Questions, MPC? No more? Are we done? Rosalie Cos,
I'm
UNTV.
great, actually great. Thank you.
Sir, ibang issue lang po.
Yes.
Nasa Marawi, nabanggit po kanina ni Sir ng NDRRMC na 5% lang po yung nagstay sa mga evacuation centers and 95% ng mga IDPs ay nagstay with their relatives and friends. Ano po yung mga partikular na tulong na pwede nating ipagkaloob? For example, livelihood assistance dahil
I think that kind of thing is going to be offered after the clearing thing, okay?
Pero sir, immediate assistance for
I'm sure
them.
he has already referred to immediate assistance being given by the mga tulong po.
Aside from food, water.
Usually, DSWD has emergency shelter assistance for the repair of their homes, but then they also have cash for work. But in the rehabilitation and recovery plan, there are components there that the details of that will be formed in the crafting of the rehabilitation and recovery plan. So, livelihood assistance is one thing, and as well as repairs of damaged facilities. This will be crafted by concerned agencies with OCD marshalling the efforts of the various agencies.
Pero for now, sir, how do they coordinate with the government?
Process.
It will be through respective or through the different agencies involved. But for now, we cannot, for the rehabilitation and recovery, we will still be in the coordination and planning stage. So that hopefully as soon as Marawi is cleared, we can embark on the conduct of the assessment. And after the assessment will be the crafting of the rehabilitation and recovery plan. The assessment will be done in about 2 weeks.
Okay, sir. Natanong ko lang po yung question na yun kasi may mga comments po na binabanggit na hindi daw po nabibigyan pansin ng mga evacuees dahil hindi rin po sila nadalaw ng Pangulo recently, and comment na sa mga military camps lang po. So from the side of the government, how do we ensure na on top priority pa rin ng pamahalaan yung mga eternally displaced?
Well, it's the function of the agencies to provide assistance to those people in the evacuation centers. So we have there DSWD and DOH. We have there the Office of Civil Defense, as well as the other agencies involved. So we have activated the response cluster at the national level, and they are deployed in Iligan City to address the needs of the IDPs in Lanao del Norte, Iligan City, and Lanao del Sur.
Okay, Tuesday nyo, may follow-up ka sa, okay. Daryl, ANC Online. Yung microphone malapit. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, good morning. First Spokesperson Abella or Sir Jalad po. Sir, how did we arrive at the 10 billion amount for the Marawi rehab? Ano po ba yung naging consideration?
It was an approximation given by the President.
Sir, second question po for how do we make sure na since the storm season is approaching, how do we make sure that we are not spread thin? Ano po yung mga preparations natin for this?
Spread thin about the what?
Relief efforts po.
Relief efforts.
What's that question again?
How do we make sure, sir, that we are not spread thin po pagdating sa relief efforts? Kasi padating na po yung storm season and given the situation in Marawi.
Well, we still have enough resources, the different agencies involved, including OCD. And in this case, coordination really is important to make sure that there's no underserving and overserving.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, Pia Gutierrez.
Sir Abella, sir, the recent travel and tourism competitiveness report of the World Economic Forum has listed the Philippines as the 11th most dangerous country for tourists. Reaction lang, sir.
Well, contrary to the WEF report, tourism businesses are exposed to security risks. In spite of that, foreign tourists continue to increase steadily. There are just hiccups every once in a while, but they continue to increase. For example, visitor arrivals for January to March 2017 are 1.78 million, okay, compared to 1.6 million for the same period last year. Therefore, an increase of about roughly 11%. We can attribute this growth in arrivals to the 160,000 airline seats that have been added to this year with new direct flights connecting local secondary airports in China, South Korea, for example, like Kalibo to Shanghai, Hangzhou and Chengdu, or Cebu to Wuhan, Chongqing, Chengdu, and Clark to Incheon. In addition, there's one in less than a year. We already have linked tourism deals with China, Cambodia, Thailand, and Turkey. We should be looking out, we don't really focus on critics. We focus on actual work and processes, and there really is an increase. It's quite positive. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you, Pia. Pia, Renada.
So recently, CABSEC Evasco gave a statement talking about the new policy of the NFA Council to shift to government to private importation. We recall that the President was against importation to begin with, and given that the NFA Council, of course, works on with the blessing of the President, is it safe to say that the President has changed his mind about
We defer to the
importation?
actual tactical moves that they have made, so we assume that this is done in best of faith. Yes, thank you.
So he has changed his mind
I don't know if
about
it's changed,
importation?
but definitely there's a change in the process. Yeah, thank you.
He was consulted on this policy shift, I assume.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure he trusts the decisions of Secretary Vasco.
Sir, given that, because he fired an undersecretary because she supported importation, can we expect him to admit his mistake in firing her?
We don't go by mistakes. I think it's a little bit, blame calling. Let us just put it this way: he puts the national interest priority, first and last. Okay, whatever is best for the nation. So I'm trusting that this decision is part of a considered process.
So he did not make a hasty decision on this undersecretary?
Which?
on firing her on the basis of her support for importation.
For whatever actions that he did, he was right up to that point, okay?
Sir, last question for me. Just pressing on the health issue. Sir, you keep saying he's in excellent health, he's well, but you also say he's resting, so it's not totally true that he's in excellent health.
Don't you ever rest?
Yes, sir,
You
I
know,
do. But
that's
that,
my
that
point.
means, sir,
You know,
that
we need to
I'm
say
not
this.
in excellent health.
No, that's not excellent. What I'm talking about is general sickness condition. I'm saying that there's nothing to worry about in terms of sickness, major sickness. But what I'm saying is that considering the schedule that he has given, he needs to rest. You do need to rest, don't you?
So, sir, just a categorical statement. Is the president exhausted? Is he resting from fatigue? Is that
Tired. He's just tired. Just like I said, he has been on the road for about 23 days. Okay.
So that's the only medical condition he has, fatigue.
As far as I
exhaustion.
can say, he's resting.
Okay, thank you, Pia. Last two questions, three. Ace Romero, to be followed by Dexter, and last question, Hannah.
Yusek Jalad, so do we have at least teams ready for deployment in the event that Marawi City is already cleared?
Primarily, really, we will be tapping on the armed government to be augmented with people from nearby regions. Priority will be from Region 12.
Can you clarify again what you mentioned about it will take 2 weeks? What was that again?
Yeah, this is basing on our experience with past disasters. Like, for example, in the conduct of post-disaster needs assessment as a result of Typhoon Nina in Bicol. So we conducted that assessment in about 2 weeks. The rise-up will be about about 1 week or 2 weeks also. And then after that, we will recommend the rehabilitation and recovery plan.
So yung signing nung EO, it may take also 2 weeks o pwede nang isign yung EO while you're conducting the assessment?
I think the EO is to be released soon in designating whoever will be the lead or the designated rehabilitation SAR. So in the conduct of the needs assessment, we don't need an EO. So we will come in as soon as Marawi is cleared.
So wala pa pong rehab, SAR? Wala pa, hindi pa
As far as I know, but our default system is the NDRRMC. And it is NEDA who is the lead agency when it comes to rehabilitation and recovery. But if the president desires that to fast-track everything, he may designate somebody as the overall in charge for rehabilitation and recovery.
Thank you po.
Okay, Dexter Ganibe, DCMM.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Sir, it's either a spokesman or si NDRRMC. Sir, may ano na ba tayo? May blueprint para dun sa isasagawang rehabilitation na maaring ito yung susundan ng iba't ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan na gustong tumulong o kaya mga private sector na gustong tumulong sa pagbangon ng Marawi? Or kanya-kanya tayo kung sino lang gusto pupunta doon, may kanya-kanyang plano ng rehabilitation?
We have the response clusters. We have about 11 clusters. So, like for example, DSWD is the lead on the delivery of food and non-food items. So, what we do is that if there are donors, we check in, we refer this to the respective cluster leads. If it's medicine, we refer it to the DOH because it's them who has the competency to determine whether to accept the donation or not.
What I mean, sir, is the rehabilitation. After
For rehabilitation and recovery, that again, we will determine that once we formulate the rehab plan on the sourcing. But in the case of the previous rehab plan, we fund it out of government funds.
So dapat yung rehab plan na yun, ito yung magiging template ng lahat ng iba't ibang organization na makiisa sa pagbangon ng Marawi.
Yes, because the agencies will put in there the different PAPs or activities for the rehab plan.
Kailan po ito magiging available?
Well, as I've said, first we have, as soon as Marawi is cleared, we will conduct the needs assessment.
Kasi I learned kahapon, the Vice President has also meet with the stakeholders ng Marawi for the rehabilitation efforts na gagawin.
The 10 billion is just a tentative figure, but the exact figure will be determined once we conduct the study, the assessment, and then formulate the rehab plan.
Last issue sa akin, kay Exec Abella, or sa inyo din, sir. Sir, ewan ko kung na-break na rin. Meron ng report na foreign media wounded sa Marawi. Any words from the palace sa mga kasamahan natin sa media na nagko-cover sa Marawi?
Foreign media? Okay. Nadapilisan. Okay. We don't have the official word on that, but we will as soon as you can get proper validation of the report.
So, sir, message niyo po sa mga nagko-cover sa Marawi.
Sa mga?
Sa mga nagko-cover po sa Marawi City.
Well,
Other foreign entities na pupunta po doon.
First and foremost, I think they should try to be as objective as possible and to see it in the context that this is really that this is not a conflict of, how do you put it, that this is basically an action of rebellion, and that they see it along that line. The report along these lines, that they're objective, and that they stay out of trouble.
Okay, thank you, Dexter. Hannah, last question.
Hi, Exec.
Yes.
Kinikonsidera po ba ngayon ng Pangulo to visit po yung mga evacuees po natin?
Well, as soon as he is able to, as soon as he can fit into his schedules, I've already seen some of his schedules. Then he will, I'm sure he will accommodate some of that.
Sir, kasama din po sa private time ng Pangulo si Miss Hanalet and kanyang anak. So,
Ma'am, this is private time. Thank you.
Okay, last na talaga, Daryl. Sir, pahabol, sorry.
Sir,
Hindi ko na-
palace reaction lang po dun sa arrest of the another Maute brother, Muhammad Nuain po.
Okay.
On the arrest po.
Okay. We don't have official update on that, but as soon as we do, we'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you, Daryl. Thank you, Malacañang Press Corps.
Thank you.
Thank you, Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella, Executive Director Ricardo, Jalad of NDRRMC. Back to our main studio sa Radyo ng Bayan, NPTV.